This is the interviewing presentation made by the Center for Career Development. So the first step in the interview process actually happens way before you have the interview set up. You begin with personal reflection. Think about what you bring to the employer and how you are set apart from other candidates. The best way to be prepared for this in the interview is by doing this work beforehand. So think about your strengths and your weaknesses. Think about how you got those strengths and how you're fighting against those weaknesses to not make them as much of an obstacle in the new job setting. Think of your short-term and long-term goals. That way you can have a plan kind of when you go into the interview. Think about skills that you have that'll be beneficial for the employer. Know why you chose your major. That can provide some insight to why you're passionate about what you're doing or what motivates you. Think about why you want this job and why you're a good fit for it, and review your resume. Feel free to bring it to the Center for Career Development to have a peer career advisor check it out, or to have one of the career counselors or consultants check it out. That way we can make sure that it is the best it can be before it gets in front of an employer. Um, in light of recent events, we are doing resume checks online, so just go into Handshake and check us out that way. So the next step is doing company research. Before you go into that interview, you want to know who you're being interviewed by, basically. You want to know as much as you can about that company so you really stand out and you're knowledgeable, ready to hit the ground running. Um, Knowing their mission statement is big because if you can tie your values to their values, that might make you seem like a better candidate. Knowing specific details about the position shows that you have done your research and you're ready to get started. Um, know its relative standing in the marketplace, know who its competitors are. That'll show that you're thinking about how to make them even better. Know the typical demographic of clients or customers to know who you're going to be working with or for. These are all good things to know before you head into the interview. So then you want to combine the research you've done on yourself, the research you've done on the company, and start making those connections. Know why you're the match for the company. Take the skills you have with the knowledge that you gained about what they want and tie them together. Show them how you stand out. Um, Consider using the Center for Career Development's practice interview services. We have those online, and you can practice with somebody to get ready for that interview and see what it's going to be like, and see like what improvements you need to make. So, interviews coming up, you got to figure out what to wear. There's business casual and business professional. Um, Know that when you go to the company, you want to dress up a little bit more than their day to day. So, say they dress in blue jeans day to day, you want to come in business casual. If they dress business casual day to day, you might want to take it a step above that and dress up a little bit more. So, business casual for men are dress pants, either a polo or a button up shirt. You can throw a sweater over that. Women, you can wear skirts or pants, typically a sweater. If it's warmer outside, you can wear a blouse. Keep your hair and your makeup conservative, I guess is the best way to say that. You want your focus to be on the qualities that you bring, not what you're wearing. You want to be remembered for why you're the best candidate. So, business professional is just suits across the board, basically. Um, and if you ever need help, finding clothes to wear, a great on campus resource for when we get back to things is Smokey's Closet, where they give out free professional clothes. So that can help get the ball rolling if you don't know where to start. So, first impressions are huge for interviews. They say that it takes less than a minute for someone to get their first impression of a candidate. So, you want to make sure that you're on your A game. Uh, Come in with good eye contact, be very personable, and give off some energy. Show them that you want this, um, and that you're eager to get started. So make the most of that introduction. Arriving 10 to 15 minutes early is the rule of thumb. Earlier than that, you might pressure the interviewer to rush through whatever they're doing so they can get to you. You don't want to make them uncomfortable. Coming later than that, there might be unforeseen circumstances, and you end up not being as prepared as you could have been. So shoot for that 10 to 15 minutes. Know that when you get onto the premises, that's when the interview starts. People might be able to see you out in the parking lot, or every person you interact with might be talked to say like, hey, how did they treat you? So make sure that you're just giving off good first impressions to everybody that you encounter. When you meet with that interviewer, you want a firm handshake, confident voice, smile, show them that you're eager to be there, and then be ready for some informal conversation. It's not going to all be interview. Some of it's going to be like, hey, how's your day going? So just be ready for that. And then be mindful of your cues, verbal, nonverbal. Taking awkward pauses is awkward, just like that. I've used a lot throughout this presentation. You want to cut that out. Know what you're going to say before you start talking. Those nonverbal cues are just as important. Slouching makes it look like you're not into this, that you're not ready for what they're putting in front of you. You need to make sure that you're not fidgeting, because that can be really distracting, and talking with your hands can be distracting as well. So just being cognizant that you are giving off all the right cues verbally and non-verbally. So then there's different types of interview questions. Typical traditional questions are, tell me about yourself, why should I hire you? You should expect to get some of those, so make sure that you go through and practice what you want to say for those. Behavioral questions are the ones where they want to see how you did in your past experiences to maybe know how you might do in future ones. So tell me about a time, give me an example, describe a situation. Those are all behavioral questions where they're looking to see the actions you took, how you handled the obstacle put in front of you. Some examples are, tell me about a time where you showed initiative and took the lead. So that can be great for students. If you're involved in organizations, say that you don't have any relevant field experience, but they ask you a question like this, draw on those lead positions that you have in your organizations from campus. Like, make sure that the experiences you have had, you're tying into how you can like translate those to the field you're going into. Adaptability question is, describe a time you were faced with something outside of your comfort zone and how you reacted. The ways you want to answer those are with the STAR method. So STAR method stands for situation, task, actions, results. Situation, so basically the STAR method is just a way to answer those questions and make sure that you hit on all the information that they need. So situation, you just lay out kind of what your role is in this circumstance, who you're working with, a bit of the environment. The task is what obstacle was put in front of you, what problem you needed to solve. The actions were all the steps that you took, your thought process, the physical actions you took. And then the results are, everything worked out great and I overcame this obstacle. You want to make sure that you hit on that as well. So other types of questions, these come up depending on the field that you're going into. So do a little bit of research and see maybe if it's typical for you to get a technical question or a brain teaser, and have a thought process ready. Just being aware that you might get something like that can be beneficial so you don't get thrown off guard. So some general interview tips: connect your responses with the interviewers. Be prepared to back up your claims with examples. This is huge. It really adds credibility to what you're saying, instead of just saying, I led a team. You can say, I led a team during my organization's recruitment week. Something like that can show, just the little bit of example adds credibility to what you're saying. So this link, feel free to click on it and watch it. It's an example of what not to do. So then once they're done asking you questions, they're going to ask one final one. Do you have any questions for us? The answer is yes. Always have 2 to 4 thoughtful questions to ask. This shows that you care about the company, that you want to know if the company is right for you. So having these questions to ask is very important. Come in with them written down beforehand. Ask 2 to 4, but have more available. because you want to make sure that you have enough questions to ask that if they answer some of them throughout the interview, you still have other questions to ask. So write them down, bring them with you in your portfolio, and make sure they're unique to each company and position. So there's some things to ask, some things not to ask. It's great to say, describe a typical week. Why is this position open? But you should stay away from asking about salary or benefits or how soon you can expect a promotion or raise. And then also don't ask anything that is just on the website that's really plain. It'll make it look like you haven't done much research into them. And then it's not over yet. Send a follow-up. Um, a handwritten note to the interviewer or an email is appropriate. Send that within 24 hours would be the best time frame. And thank them for seeing you. Say that you're eager about the position, and then make sure you keep it professional. If you don't hear with them within the time frame that they gave you, feel free to reach out to them and see if there's anything else that you can do for them. And then the last thing is reflection. What went well? What do you need to improve upon? These will be important for your next interview. Say you're staying in the same field. You can take this interview as a learning lesson and think about what you want to do better next time. So if y'all have any questions, feel free to reach out to the Center for Career Development and we'd love to answer them.